This afternoon, we would like to invite you to sharpen the saw. This particular video segment are for those alumni, folks that have taken the 7 Habits training and want to refresh themselves into the 7 Habit process. So Paul, Habit 1 talks about the freedom to choose, that we would be able to pause when we have meetings, when we have something comes up and we normally would react. Tell me a little bit about how you feel about how we can do that in our everyday activities.
Okay, Jim, that's a really good question. I always try to think to myself that when we're feeling a twinge of anxiety, of concern in a situation at the moment, I always try to remind myself, is this really a bear coming out of the woods? Or is it a squirrel having no interest in me at all? How big is the challenge? Habit 1 says, put some space between the immediate recognition of the challenge and your response to it. And I think the best way to do that is just let it breathe. Sometimes I'll even think to myself, I'm going to think about this later. Now later gives me a chance to have more energy and more time to really evaluate the size of the animal in front of me. But do so when I can think about the options to address the challenge. But we need to put the space between that stimulus and the response to be able to do that.
So having a little anxiety when we see the bear is a good thing.
It's an alert system. It's an alert that there's something in front of us that needs to be addressed. But it doesn't often need to be addressed that minute.
That minute, okay.
And it's actually more effective to let it breathe, think about it later when we have the energy and the time to understand it and think through the options.
Very good. So, Paul, Habit 1 talks about being proactive.
Right.
And so often in daily transactions, we tend to be reactive.
Right.
Something happens and we respond to it. So, what are some ways we could practice being proactive in our daily routine?
Well, that's, again, another good question, Jim. So, proactive language is important. It's one of the techniques to get us in a proactive mood. And proactive language starts with what I call, it's always my turn first. Now, again, I give the credit all to a mentor of mine that a lot of people would know about and really influenced me. But that's what the mentor told me. Always think, Paul, it's your turn first, no matter what it is. So the situation, the challenge, the project, the relationships, what are you going to do first? That starts it.
So take the initiative. Don't wait to be second. Go ahead and push through.
Exactly.
Excellent. Great point. One of my favorite graphics in Habit 1 is the circle of influence and the circle of concern. And that outer circle has so many things that happen in daily life that are out of our control, beyond our ability to influence. So what's the benefit of letting those things go?
Wow. Okay. So I think that we all know that tomorrow is not guaranteed. So really what I think my purpose is today is to try to make a positive difference, maybe to you, to at least one person I interact with. The benefit is, when I go into a situation with that kind of thinking, I'm going to contribute where I can, learn where I can't, and know that I'm living in the here and now and not in my head.
Wow. Be mindful of the present. That's fantastic. Not worry about the future or the past. That's excellent.
You got it. Thank you.
And finally, Paul, the topic of forgiveness comes up and happens, and so often we try to forgive others. So what would be the main benefit to me if I try to forgive negative behavior in other people I come in contact with?
Okay, so forgiving is actually for those who are doing the forgiving, not for the forgiven. It really releases the past and the future and those involved in it, so we can be present in what we want to really accomplish.
Wow.
So that's the biggest part. Forgiveness is also a part of the concept of acceptance. So for example, if I accept me and you and others and the situation we're in, just accept it just the way it is. It's like forgiveness. It is actually a platform for me and us to make progress.
Wow.
Forgive, accept, and now move forward.
Excellent point. That is fantastic. So often I've thought it the reverse. It was for the person I'm forgiving. It was actually for the person doing the forgiving.
That's actually for us.
That's a great thought.
As a platform to make progress.
Right. Well, thank you, Paul, for joining us today. I really think this will be helpful to those people that are considering attending the Sharpen the Saw session that's planned. And so whether you can attend or not, please use this thought that we're sharing with you today to make progress in your path in using the 7 Habits every day on campus. Or if you're external to the campus, in whatever environment you find yourself in. So thank you.
I thank you, Jim, and I thank you, Team Longwood.